You are looking live at Brent Leary.
You are looking partially alive at Paul Greenberg.
I don't know why Brent Musburger just flashed in my head at that exact time, but hey, this is what happens when you grow up 40, 50 years ago watching the NFL on CBS with Brent Musburger, Irv Cross, Phyllis George, and Jimmy the Greek.
You want to know how old I am? I remember when Brent Musburger was a reporter for the Chicago, I think it was either the Tribune or the Sun-Times. And that was in the 60s when he was a Cub reporter.
Oh, he was reporting for the Cubs?
No, that's like Jimmy Olsen, Cub reporter.
Anyway, we are the CRM players, and we survived our residency last week.
Which is probably about as good a term as you could say. Although I have to admit, it was a little easier to swallow with that screen on the Verint thing, especially.
You know what? Maybe I'll play our intro and outro.
Yeah, why not, man?
Yeah, let me cue that up because that could be fun. But yeah, it was actually I'm beat because I'm just literally back from Genesis experience, and that was in Denver. And that last night, it felt like something biblical was going on with the thunder, lightning, hail, pestilence. I mean, it was crazy.
Esteban was there?
No, I said pestilence, not digital pestilence.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, well, I don't know. He could have been. I don't know, but no, it was. So I'm kind of moving a little slow because that was 3 straight weeks on the road for me. But they were great, and I thoroughly enjoyed. Then I usually don't say this about Vegas. I thoroughly enjoyed Vegas last week because it was our players' residency. We got a chance to talk to a lot of folks at 2 big conferences in the industry, and everyone we talked to was great. And I mean, the Verint thing was unbelievable because of the kind of the stage, literally the stage they gave us.
And since this show is closest to whatever we'll ever do on production values, their production values were spectacular.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And I mean, they even got us to our theme song and even give us a little intro. The intro that dude did was great. Although I still don't know what bringing the as is, but
Well, I know what he means because he was taking the AZ from players, but unfortunately it can be interpreted really, really differently.
And we are in Vegas, so
right.
But it was fun. I mean, I like our walk on and our little banter and our guests. They even gave our guests walk on music. It was awesome.
That was, I would say, from a production standpoint, that was the best one we ever did.
Oh yeah, I mean, why don't I just show a little bit? I'll show the intro and outro.
Okay.
For anybody who's out there, this is how we came on, and also how we walked off at the Verint. I'm going to be Verint Experience. Verint Engage at the Bellagio last week.
Live from the Bellagio in sunny Las Vegas, it's the CRM Players.
I love that.
Bring in the as. Please welcome Brent Leary and Paul Greenberg.
That's Police Squad, starring Leslie Nielsen. Theme song.
Look how big that room was.
I know. Well, it was the main stage in the ballroom.
We're in Vegas, right? Doesn't this sound like Vegas?
Apparently.
We're bringing something.
Hey, Jesus.
We're glad to be here. Wow, this is cool.
Yeah, look at the walls, man.
Look how big that wall was. I mean, it's huge.
That Everything was amazing.
It got a live studio audience.
Yeah, there's like 3 people in the audience.
Yeah, one guy at the time Brent left, one guy was going.
I'm Paul Greenberg.
We are the CRM players, and this is like a first for us Because
All right.
usually when we do our show,
I want to get to the
you
walk
know,
off.
I'm in Atlanta, keynote stage at Verint Engage at the Bellagio here in Las Vegas.
You know what? Best hotel in Vegas,
here we go.
Bellagio.
Okay.
Period.
Tell you what, that bed was great. Got a great night's sleep. Really excited about what we're going to do here,
I think
right?
it's coming up now.
Extraordinary.
Why don't we end in 3,
right.
2, 1. I'm Brent Leary.
I'm Paul Greenberg.
We are the CRM players, and we're about to do our walkout. Listen to that. There we
that
go.
sounds good.
Which way? That way?
Let's go out here.
All
The
right.
CRM Players.
I love that guy.
Brent Leary and Paul Greenberg.
You know, that guy could give the golden smog of the CRM industry a little run for his money. There.
Yeah. And his name was what?
Austin.
Listen,
There was like 10 guys, 2 of them were named Austin, and I just called everybody Austin just to be on the safe side.
well, you were right 20% of the time at least.
Yeah, but those guys were awesome. I
The
mean,
best.
absolutely.
That was literally the best group we ever dealt with, and they went they're incredibly professionally just talented, and they have a sense of humor too, which made it even more fun. What was the company? Was Sardis, I think.
Sardis or something like that.
Yeah, Sardis Production.
We still got to ask that dude about the bringing the as thing. That was that was kind of funny, kind of funny. But anyway, yeah, that was cool. Hopefully, we'll get a chance to do that again because, quite honestly, the Pega, Verint back to back, MGM Bellagio, it was great, except for the cab ride over from MGM to the Bellagio,
which is 1 mile and took what, 45 minutes,
something like that. It was terrible.
1 mile traffic. Hey, Jesus. Jesus is here.
Yep, I saw that. I brought it up there. It's good to see him. Keeping track, tabs on everything. His mother seems to be progressing well, which is great.
Yeah.
So good to see him back. All right. So one of the things that we wanted to do is we haven't done a gear show in a little bit because of all the travel and really all the stuff going on. But it was time, and actually all the traveling kind of spurred this one on because we buy a lot of stuff, but it feels like these last couple of stops have really, for me at least, made me want to get as compact and as easy to deal with stuff as possible.
Yeah,
because we went from, like, it seems like a small journey going from one casino to the next, but when you're lugging a whole bunch of stuff, and sometimes you lug stuff, you bring stuff that you're not sure you're going to need, but you bring it just in case. So it's just a lot of stuff. So every trip for the last couple, I've been trying to figure out, is there a better way to do this? Is there something else? Like the one thing, and I credit you on this, tripods, getting the right tripod, a lightweight, really closed, that folds up tight, a tripod like that. If you're going to be traveling and going all over the place, and you see everybody is doing this kind of video stuff in the industry space, in the thought leader or influencer or analyst, whatever you call them, everybody's doing it. And so we thought this would be a great time to revisit, because I think we might have done this late last year, early this year. I don't know.
Yeah, but we were just still learning how to optimize what we brought on the road, and what the trade-offs were and what they aren't. We'll look as soon as you can, man. We're always looking forward to it. And also, typically you bring stuff and you realize I never needed that. And part of what the trade-off is weight and size versus quality of materials. Because, like, for example, I'm not going to specify anything. One, a camera lens could be very light or very heavy, right? And you're talking about, it might not sound like a lot, but be cumulative on what you're thinking here. could be a couple of pounds. I mean, you
Yeah.
know, it's like a lightweight camera lens, but then again, are you getting the features that you need to do the kind of thing you're doing on the road? And on the road, are you going to stream? Are you going to do only recordings? You know, are you going to, do you want to be utterly minimal and just go with your iPhone and then see what you can do to optimize something like that? Or do you want to, you know, kick it up a notch or two or five so that you have, let's call it at least, call it prosumer level, if not professional level, quality in your production? I mean, all of that actually matters. And then the other side of it, in our case, we always had to decide what can we not bring? Meaning, what will the vendors who are hiring us to do the players episodes provide for us? Like what you saw at Verint, we of course provided ourselves, and that was pretty much it. But a lot of other times we have to provide everything. Like at Pega, ultimately we had to provide everything. So, you know, those kind of things make a huge difference. And when you get to be, you know, of a certain age, it affects your back, it affects your legs, it affects a lot of things. So you have to be super careful on how to think about this and what you're bringing. And hopefully today we can not only recommend some optimal ways to do it, but also some specific things that we've found extremely useful in terms of quality of what we try to produce.
Yeah, maybe one of the things that I'm going to bring up right up front is, you know, lugging this stuff around. You can have 25, 30 pounds on your back. So one of the things that I am really falling in love with, see this, is my my camera travel kit bag. Because let's face it, if you're gonna try to up the ante a little bit on your production value while you're on the road, you're gonna be carrying at least one camera, possibly two, probably at least one lens, probably two or three, depending on how many cameras you're bringing. And each of those things, you're probably going to have some batteries that you're going to need for it. You're going to need a tripod. You might need a light stand. All this stuff adds up. You know, cords, cables. So, and not only does it all add up, it adds up in terms of weight. And if you're going to be carrying all of that, you know, for certain amounts and distances, you're going to want something that is going to make it as easy as possible for you to transport all that stuff. And the bag I got here, it's purpose built for carrying that kind of equipment. It means it's not just a backpack that opens like, you know, the traditional backpack, but you have these things like here. It opens out and not just on the sides. And that's nice because then you can place all your batteries and cables and stuff right in on top like that, close it up, and you're ready to go. And then it also has a slot for your computer. So you can carry up to like a 16-inch laptop. So you can fit a bunch of stuff. And it's not going to be, you know, at your traditional backpack, which is not built for that. So things are just sloshing around in there, and you got some expensive equipment knocking around on us. Terrible. And it all kind of settles at the bottom, which is terrible. Whereas a bag like that, the one I have, it has compartments and you can set it in there and it's stable and secure. And the weight is evenly distributed, which is a big deal when you're lugging that stuff around. So maybe one of the first things, it's not the most glamorous thing, but if you're going to go beyond the iPhone and you're going to be bringing a camera or, you know, lenses, you know, mics, all that kind of stuff, you might want to go ahead and invest in a really good camera bag, not just a backpack, but a camera bag that's built.
Who makes the one you have?
It's called, I don't know how to pronounce it. It's Tarion, Tarion, Tarion. And this is not even the big one. This is the compact one. This is, as you can see, it's relatively small. I'm trying to hold it up so you can see kind of I'm going the wrong way. There it is. as you can see, it's not a big bag, but it
No.
supports all that stuff. It can carry all that stuff, and I think I paid about like around $100 for it, and it was money well spent because I can pack a lot of stuff in there, mics, the ATEM, when I'm walking around with it, it's evenly distributed. It's not hanging all at the bottom, which can be really bad. And so, and it has, there's cushions, so everything has a little cushion to it. I carry lenses, and this stuff is expensive. So just one lens could be $1,000.
Yep.
Let alone the camera, which can, the one that I traveled with just this week, and we both have it. That's a $2,200 camera. The lenses anywhere from $3,000 to $1,000, and that's for just one. So if you're going with two cameras, two lenses, and your laptop, how much money is that? So you really want to get a good bag to support all that stuff that you already invested in.
So and on that, they tend to size these bags in liters for some reason. But the largest bag that you can bring onto a plane is 45 liters. I don't know why liters particularly, but that's
what are you going to drink
45L. That's what I mean. I've never understood that, but it's 45. I guess it's liters. I mean, it's just 45L. Let's call it that. So that is the largest. Anything bigger than that, you're going to have to check it. Now, to Brent's point, we tried another one, and unfortunately, it was my choice, and it didn't work well. It was this company, highly recommended company called Wandrd, WANDRD. Really strange name. And the bag has a ton of space, but the zipper system is so horrible that it's hard to open the zipper, close the zipper, and it's actually, and these are expensive bags, and they are 45L. Maybe that means length. I don't know. But whatever it means, they're expensive bags. Size? And
I'm a 40.
That's right, 45 L, 45 long pants. So and again, you can fit a lot in those bags, and there's a lot of protection. They sell a lot of actually interesting accessories like bags for cameras that are basically air protect the camera. You blow them up literally. They sell a lot of interesting accessories, but I don't recommend this bag at all because the zipper system makes it almost impossible to work with. So to Brent's point, Tarion, which is considerably less expensive, works really well. I tend to check my bag in anyway, and what I do is I use a backpack that Brent and I got for free at Adobe, actually, and I put my stuff in that, and I put that in my suitcase, so it gives it protection. Right? Never had an issue. But if you're carrying it on, 45 is the largest size, and Tarion obviously is a very good brand for that, and I highly recommend it for sure. Stay away from Wandrd for now. Not worth the price.
Yeah. Do you know of anybody that actually checks their bag that has all their camera stuff? I can't.
No, I actually do.
Really? You checked it? Wow. I never thought about checking it.
I always check all my camera stuffs in my suitcase, which is I bought a 28-inch suitcase just to check it. Wow. Right. And then I put everything in the Adobe backpack and then put that surrounded by a lot of things in the suitcase. That way I don't have to drag that around. And my only carry-on the plane is my messenger bag. Now, the other thing is you have to decide when it comes to these camera backpacks, if you have a laptop, some of them will come with sleeves for your laptop. You just have to decide whether you want to buy one like that. So keep that in mind. And they'll come with up to 17 inches. It depends on the size you're actually buying.
Yeah, maybe now that we kind of covered that, talk about what we actually put in those bags. And like I said, there's a number of things you can bring with you if you're going to kind of up your game. Camera, lenses, batteries, all this stuff weighs a certain amount.
Yeah.
One thing, and let me show you, because I think I got this queued up. So I just did, matter of fact, what I'll do this, I'm going to show a clip from, I was doing a few good minutes. I guess that was Wednesday. And I'll show you the what everything the video looks like, and then I'll show you a picture somebody took that shows everything that I was using.
The setup.
Yeah, so here's first the video, and this is with Brett Weigel, who is SVP and GM over at Genesis, and talking about something that we're all always talking about, this generative AI stuff. But just look at the quality and audio, and then I'll show the picture to show what I was using.
Customers come and say, hey, I'm using ChatGPT as a consumer app. That means that everything I've done with bots is now just going to be this magic box, right?
We were
But
outside, of
practically
course.
speaking,
That's why
there's
it's
a
so
lot
well
of
lit.
interest in and focus on helping agents as a first and foremost thing, because everyone sees that as safe. There's naturally a human in the loop, and I know what the output is before I give it to the customer. The way
So we're
it
wearing lab
transforms
mics.
how we build enterprise-ready
That's why it sounded good.
chatbots is kind of an interesting topic, and it'll be a
Although
big
we
part
have
of
to
our
be
roadmap
specific
in the
on
next
the
2
lab
years,
mic, too.
bringing together more defined intent, defined flows that have to be the way that they are for a brand, for the integrated
Just
systems
one
to
set
work right.
shot, only one camera.
But at the same time, let's make the conversations more human. I
Right.
think that's really going to be an exciting area of development. So
That's a really interesting thing
All
to
right.
make the conversation.
That. So as you can see, it was one camera set up outside, so you didn't have to worry about lighting. But that's something we're always gonna have to worry about. If you're inside, lighting is really important. Audio quality. Now, you probably couldn't tell because we were both labbed up. There was construction going on in the background, and very loud construction. But so I actually ran the audio through that Adobe podcast to get rid of the background noise, and it enhanced our voices. But you can say it was very clear. The audio was great, even with the enhancement. If you give it great audio and then you enhance it, you get even better audio. So,
And on the audio side, there's several options for portability included with quality. For us, we use lav mics all the time. We use the same one, actually. It's a Sanken C11, C11, something, C11. It's a lav mic has highly directional sound, so it'll eliminate a lot of what's going on around it. Basically, now what we do, though, typically, and then maybe it'll show in Brent's setup, is we have these cables we have for it. They have was it 3.25? Not 3.25, quarter inch, 3.5 millimeter plug. Okay, that the Sanken mic goes into a female cable that has a 3.25 inch slot for it. Sanken mic plug, a 3.5 millimeter slot for it, plugs that in. There's an XLR at the other end. An XLR is basically a professional level cable for audio. Plugs that into a Tascam recorder or directly into an audio accessory that happens to go with this camera we're using, and you'll get the sound from that. The lab mic's attached. Now you can do it wirelessly too if you choose to, through using something like the Rode Wireless Go 2 or the DJI Pro wireless microphones, which are transmitters and receivers sets you can buy. There's a lot of things you can do. They're all small. They're all very easy to use. In our case, we're using the wired version. But again, keep in mind, these mics are basically a wire and a tiny little mic about that big clipped here, right? And that's it. And then the cable here, it looks like this is the cable. This is the end that gets plugged into the Tascam. This is the, excuse me. It's not too clear here just because the auto.
There it is.
This is the end that the mic plugs into. And again, this is the end that gets plugged into the recording side, the recorder side. Could be a field recorder like the Tascam that we use, the Portamount 8 X8, or it could be the audio accessory for the Panasonic, which has 2 XLR channels. But that use this cable, mic here, plug into the recorder there, and go and turn it on. Make sure phantom power's on and go. The phantom power is basically extra power, and again, very portable. And
So
and last but not least, the Tascam recorder. This is it. Okay, it's not on, but I'll turn it on just so you can see what it looks like when it's on. Still coming on.
Yeah.
There you go. But don't see it that well. But nonetheless, this is what the recorder looks like. This is, and over here, here, and there's 2 more on the other side. Well, actually, there's 2 more over here. Oops, over here. You can plug up to 4 of those mics into there, or any XLR mic.
right
So
now,
there we have it.
and that's what we traditionally use when we are out, and we're particularly when we're live streaming. So you have the camera, you have the camera feeding into the ATEM. The ATEM is basically just allows you to it's a video switcher. So you can just have your one camera connecting into that. And the ATEM basically allows your camera to actually act like a webcam. That's pretty much what it does. And you can have up to 4 cameras for the very smallest ATEM. I think I got it here. So there it is, the ATEM Mini Pro. That is, this is the little device that if you're streaming, it allows you to connect multiple cameras and use those cameras as a webcam. So traditionally on the road, we've only done it with 1. Technically, we could have 4. We haven't worked our way up to that yet, but this is as you can see, it's not a very big device, pretty small. And the 4 video inputs. There we go. There's 4 video inputs, and then there's an output, so you can send all this into your laptop, and then your laptop will recognize this as just a external webcam, and all the streaming software that you use, whether it's Teams or Zoom or we use StreamYard, all those applications will recognize this thing as just another webcam. And that's the bottom line. This allows you to not just to be little, not looking good there.
Yeah.
Anyway,
There it is.
So it just allows you to use an external webcam and not be subject to using, the thing that's on your laptop or desktop. All right. So let me show you a picture of what I was using to create that video. So as you can see, it's a very streamed down look. And look at a couple of things. The camera, on top of the camera is the XLR adapter that Paul mentioned. And let me see if I could show that real
Well,
quick.
I actually have here. Give me a
I
second.
got it right here.
Okay.
So this little doodad right here allows you to connect 2 professional mics with that XLR connection that Paul was talking about. And then it has all the little things you need to set up, for each mic. You can do all the individual settings for each mic. And then it has this they call it a hot shoe connection, which you slide this on top of your camera, and your camera knows that there's an audio device associated. And now you can stick those mics right into that device, and you get high professional audio connected now and coming through your video camera. And since I was only doing a one-on-one interview, this worked great because I had 2 mics. That's all I need. And it's very easy to use. So quick and dirty. And once again, you can see the setup was very, very easy, very light. there's a camera, there's the XLR adapter, there's 2 mics, there's the tripod, and that tripod I'm using there. I think that tripod weighs what, about it's less than 2 pounds, or right around
Yeah,
2.
it is. It's carbon fiber, which is very light, but very, very, very sturdy and tough.
Yeah, and that's, once again, not just pound, every ounce counts. Excuse me. Every ounce counts. It's kind of funny to say. Every ounce counts when you're lugging all this stuff around, because, like I said, there's a camera there. There's a lens. Those lenses can, as Paul said, can be pretty heavy, relatively speaking. There's that XLR adapter. It's light, but once again, all these things add up. The other thing that is brand new to my setup, I'll show you this. This is, now it looks like it's just a handle that you can stick on the top of your camera, so you can have a nice grip and walk around with your camera with a nice handle. But this is a special handle, because within the handle, I'll take this off. All right. Hidden in the handle is an actual blade SSD, a nice hard drive. So when I'm recording, and I made that recording, I didn't have to lug around or have something sticking out to record on, because this handle allows me to just stick the SSD drive in, and bam. So once again, lightweight, it's easy to use, and it can handle up to 6K 10-bit video recording at 30 frames per second or something like that.
Yeah.
So all of these things add up, which is why you really want to shop and find out exactly what you're trying to, well, first of all, understand what you're trying to do. Like, we're always trying to figure out ways to get better quality audio and video, and do so without breaking our backs for the most part.
So what I can show you is that camera. The only difference will be my camera cage, the cage that fits around the camera so that I can attach other things, is going to be a little different than Brent's. But other than that, this is the camera with the handle on it and the audio on it. The camera itself is called the Panasonic S5 IIX.
And I'm using that right now too. So the image quality that you're seeing is what Paul is getting ready to show you.
So this is the camera with a lens on it. So notice up here is that handle he was talking about with 2 terabytes of storage. The way it attaches to the camera is just that cable. Over here, and notice it's kind of on its side here. Gives me the room here to do the audio accessory that Brent was also talking about. The camera itself has a lens on. It's a short lens. It's a variable, what they call a variable lens, meaning it has a range of zoom in and zoom out, and variable lighting and everything else it handles. But zoom in and zoom out is really what they mean when they talk about this kind of lens. It goes from 14 millimeters to 28 millimeters. But this is the whole thing. This is the package. Now, the only thing to put it on the tripod, I'd have to attach here, which I have, but I don't have it with me. Attach here like a little, it's basically a clip that clips right to the tripod. They have a lot of different variations on it. The one that this particularly takes with the tripod that Brent has, and I also have a very similar one, is called Arc Swiss, but it's basically just a small attachment that basically sets it up, puts it on the tripod, steadies it, and this is the whole thing. Now, there's some weight to this. This is the problem. This combination with the lens on it is the heaviest thing you're going to be dealing with, unless you bring a light. But this is the heaviest thing you're going to be dealing with, and I can feel it. But that said, what I can do with this, and the thing why we've chosen this camera is we can live stream from it. And not only can we live stream from it, well, you see the quality of the picture by just looking at Brent's quality on this live stream. The thing that's interesting about this camera is typically when we're live streaming, we have to go through StreamYard. Okay. This camera, even though we still will probably typically go through StreamYard, but if we don't have a laptop with us, we don't have anything like that, we can stream directly from this camera. This camera literally ties wirelessly to, it'll tie to an app on your phone, and we can stream to YouTube and LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter and any other channel via Restream or anywhere else you can get a streaming key. We can stream to all of them from just putting this camera on a tripod and nothing else. And that, so the convenience factor is enormous for this thing. There's a lot of other advantages to it, but well beyond what we want to talk about. But you can see, look at the quality of the video of Brent's right now. Yeah, thanks, JR. That's partly true. My arms are sore from working out this morning. So that's me trying to say I'm not old, right? So, but that's what I mean. This camera is an astonishing camera. And I'm guessing for the foreseeable, fairly distant future, this is our go-to for travel.
Yeah. It's light, pretty light. And the thing that I like about it, I know I have several Panasonic cameras, box cameras, and they're great for in the studio, but until the cameras that Paul just talked about, the one that I'm using, terrible autofocus. It was like the one thing that you just couldn't get past. But with this latest camera, they put it out and autofocus is great. We can do stuff now like this. Look how quick it is to focus in on it. On my other cameras, forget it. I couldn't do that. So that's why this is a perfect travel camera. It's light. Lenses, you can get, whatever lens you want and travel with it. Panasonic and Sigma are making really great lenses they call them L-mount lenses for these particular cameras. And here's one of those kind of lenses. This is a 35 millimeter?
Yeah.
No, this is actually the 14 to 28 zoom. So this is the lens I was using for that video that I showed you. And look, it's small, lightweight. And so traveling with that lens camera combination is kind of a dream compared to some of the other stuff, which, the trade-off usually is you want quality video, you're probably going to need a big lens and a meaty camera. Well, with this camera and with these lenses, you don't really need, you can get great quality without having a whole lot of weight to it. So yeah, this is great. It's a great combination. And that carbon fiber tripod. Oh, I mean, before last week, I'm guessing I shaved off 4 or 5 pounds, at least, maybe more, of my travel gear just from having this camera with that lens, with that tripod combination, and using this as opposed to the Tascam, which you do need a Tascam if you're going to have more than 2 people talking. And the Tascam is a great solution, but if you're just doing one-on-ones, oh man, it's small, compact, and it's easy to use. Tascam can be a little tricky sometimes.
Well, and actually, to the point I think you made now, Brent, what you saw him doing, he was pre-recording that. He wasn't streaming live.
Right.
As a result of that, he didn't even need a laptop.
Right.
So basically, all he needed was that setup on the tripod and the mics attached to each him and Brent Weigel. That's it.
And no ATEM, no laptop,
no
Tascam. No. I mean, it was.
If you're streaming, great. You'll need the other things. But and again, it's fine. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is batteries. Now, the interesting thing with this camera and many contemporary cameras, if you're actually buying a let's call it a good or better camera, as opposed to a beginner's camera, one of the things you'll find is a much more recent way to charge cameras, because battery life's always been a question. There's 2 things that have always been problematic with cameras. One is limits on recording time, where the camera would just shut down after 30 minutes, right? And then the other one was battery life, right? Battery life was always fairly short, and still is, really, depending on the size of the battery you're using. Now, you can use a V-mount battery, for example, which is big, but will keep you going for hours. There's a V-mount battery, and some of them get even bigger than that, right? There's a V-mount battery like this big. This V-mount battery is this big. Now and you can attach them to the tripod on the side and plug in. The other thing you can do, which is a contemporary thing, is you take a regular battery, like in the case of the Panasonic Lumix, they use the BL22, I think is the name of the battery they use. And they're this little batteries, like I may even have one in here. Hold on. I do. Okay, so this is what it looks like. That's it. Again, there we go. Very small. Now, here's the interesting. You have this battery fully charged on its own, you get an hour, hour and a half out of it. However, if you have a USB-C cable that you can plug into something and this battery in, it operates like a dummy battery. The battery is just a transmitter basically for power. And the battery won't charge while you're recording, but it'll charge while you're not doing anything with it. When the system is off and the thing is still plugged in, it'll charge. But you plug in a battery, you put in the USB-C cable, and you'll have infinite time basically with the battery. And these cameras, these newer cameras, are designed to never shut down after a certain period. But one thing I'll warn you on, these cannot, if you're going to pack in your suitcase, you can't pack these in your suitcase. They have to go in your bag. Otherwise, you're in violation of FAA regulations, right? And if they catch you, you actually have a problem. So make sure that these are in your whatever carry-on you do bring on if you packed your camera in your suitcase. It's really important not to forget that. I've at times, when Brent and I are using our things, I'm carrying that Adobe bag with me to wherever venue we have to bring it to. And I have the camera in and I have the batteries in the bag, and I forget that. And then I put the bag in the suitcase, right? And then I realize, oh, whoa. Luckily, I haven't forgotten long enough to leave it in the suitcase. I've managed to get it out. Now, the other thing is, keep in mind, and this might sound little, but this is actually, it not only adds weight, it adds like massive, crap, really. You have to bring a lot of cables, right? Some of them are for charging. Some of them are for plugging in, the XLR cables we were talking about. You have to have HDMI cables, right? Brent, you just went dead, or your battery went out. You have XLR, your picture's gone.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. You have XLR, HDMI cables that have to be plugged in, et cetera, et cetera. So now typically when you have, when you are charging things in your hotel room or whatever, and it could be a battery charger, where you plug it in. Although I've just recently found out there are batteries that don't need a charger. It will directly have a USB-C slot in the back that will directly charge the battery. But typically when you have a charge, those little like wall adapter plugs, they have problems, right? And their problem is that they're very low wattage. They're usually 5, 10, 12 watts. And typically when you get bigger and bigger wattage, you see bigger and bigger packages. Well, I just found this, and I highly recommend this. Anker, which is Anker, which produces a couple of things you want on the smaller side. Anker has a 65-watt wall adapter, and look at the size of this thing. This is 65 watts, which is the same size as those Apple ones you use, which are 5 or 10 watts. This thing will charge anything, including your laptop, if you need to. It's that much wattage coming from it. And again, the thing that's amazing, the Apple equivalent is 58% larger than this. So for portability and weight, because it's not heavy, I mean, you can feel a little bit of weight, but it's not heavy. I highly recommend this little thing. The other thing Anker produces, which is also something you want to consider, is a hub when you're on the road and when you're traveling with cameras. Because look, you are using a laptop, you are live streaming. The hub has USB-A ports. It has Ethernet ports, so you can, because if your laptop doesn't have one, you can provide it there. It has an HDMI port, which is HDMI out, really. It has USB-C ports, and it's takes up one USB-C slot on your laptop. It gives you a lot more capability for your cameras and your cables and your equipment when you're doing it. So, and Anchor produces this one too. I don't know what this particular one is called, but you can easily find it. So, and again, portability. Look at this thing. Light as a feather. I mean, fold the cable, small. It's literally the same size as that 2 terabyte Blade SSD, that hard disk that Brent was showing. So those things, as much as they're little things, and needless to say, zero sexiness about them, you have to bring them, right? So look to the best quality things you can get on that. And keep in mind, Brent and I have been doing this. When we were back on the road in June 2022 for a Verint conference, you know how many pounds of gear we probably, or how many pounds total, because it probably included our clothes too, we were probably each lugging that day, probably about, I don't know, 70 pounds a piece, because we were lugging lights and that's literally an untenable number. You can't do that. It basically will destroy your health trying to lug that around. So now we're down to, I would guess, I don't know, 35, half that, 30.
Well, it depends. Like,
right.
If one of the things that I didn't bring, and I decided, luckily for this trip, didn't need it, because when I was out in Denver, as you can see, it was great sunlight. So I could actually go out. Yeah, that day. But if you're doing stuff inside, you know, the lighting situation, you know, we ran into a little bit of that at Verint.
Oh my God,
not when we were on the stage, but when we were doing some other stuff. And it doesn't hurt to have some kind of light. Now, lighting could, once again, it's not just the light you have to factor in. It's, you know, the battery, and you need a light stand. So once again, all these kinds of things you want to take into consideration, because lugging all this stuff, every ounce counts, like I said. So I did a little research and was testing, you know, trying to figure out what's a good lightweight, small, compact light for travel. And one of the things that I found is this guy, this Colbor CL60. It's a relatively new light, and it's, as you can see, it's not a big light. It's small. It actually, that light, the light itself, not everything else, not the you know, the little contraption that connects to the light stand, but just the light, it's only 1.2 pounds, you know.
Wow.
And so, you know, that's great, because sometimes you get a small light, but it can be very heavy and dense. So it's light, it's compact, and I was able to get a light travel stand that weighs about the same. So once again, it's not just about, you know, the thing, it's all the accessories that you need to use the thing. And so I'm glad I found the lightweight stuff that it will fit in my travel suitcase. So I typically put some clothes in, and all my tripod stuff into the bag that I check, and then all the camera stuff, and I'll put the cables in that bag too. I'll put the cables, everything except batteries. So if I can get away with it, I'm putting it in the travel bag that I can check at the airport. So tripods and lighting stands, I want them compact, I want them light, because then I can easily put them in the travel bag, and they don't take up too much space and weight, because I need to put some clothes in there, of course, and I want to put cables, because I don't need to have the cables in my bag that I sling on my back. So those are the kinds of things that I look for in the gear that we're going to take out on the road. I want it to be compact, lightweight, and easy to use, because a lot of times if you're trying to you get a chance to sit down and do a recording or a conversation, sometimes you just don't have a lot of time. And as Paul and I run into from time to time, the more equipment you have, the more you have to set up. And
Yeah. Now, and to your point, actually, your specific point, the thing is that, you're talking. So if you combine the weight of that. Oh, by the way, that light, I happened to be watching when I was eating some lunch earlier, a video of a guy talking about filmmaking. And one of the two lights he routinely uses is that one, right? That specific light. He has a bigger light and then that one on his.
I'm using it now. This is the light I have coming in over my shoulder.
I mean, it's a very, very well regarded new light. And again, to the weight, it's 1.2 pounds. The light stand, 1.2 pounds. There's 2.4 pounds between the two. The light I carried last year from Aperture alone, which was what was it? The P60C, I think, or something like that. Probably weighed 4 pounds by itself. Yeah, it was heavy. It wasn't
huge. It was dense. It was
dense. A great light. Don't get me wrong. Fantastic light. But ultimately, it puts out the same wattage as the one you used. It was 60.
Right.
Makes a big difference. So, again, now what we're talking about, is still, look, I mean, it's a pretty efficient. I mean, there are always room to improve. There are things we're really not leaving out, that we're leaving out that we just aren't covering, but we've covered all the basic stuff. Typically, we're trying to get the client, the company hiring us to provide us with the lights, minimally that, right? Because that's typically going to be the heaviest thing we're carrying. But in this case, it puts us in a place where if we have these lights, we can carry them. And what Brett and I have done, not entirely, but I'd say 70% is we each have one of the same thing the other has, right? So that way we can either have two, or one of us can bring one and the other one can bring one, which also, by the way, minimizes the weight, because the combination minimally we'll be doing duplicate, and we'll have a substantial way of doing multi-camera and other things. Beyond that, though, if he's carrying some, I'm carrying others, we reduce our load and between us have everything we possibly could need, right? So if you're working in a small team environment or something like that, that's another way, is basically divide up what needs to be brought. And I will tell you, look, what we're talking about might sound really expensive, but it's actually not. The camera is the most expensive single piece we have, and the lenses are second. I'd say the investment there, well, we got to be honest, we got great deals on our lenses for the Panasonic, and I think the deal is still running if you want to pick up the camera. Panasonic's giving you like 60% off these lenses on the average. It's a huge number. Like I got an $800 lens for I think it was $400 or $300 or something insane. And I think you got one that's normally what? $349 and you got it for $49.
That's
right?
the lens I'm using right now.
Right.
And you can see the quality is really great.
Yeah, it's astonishing. I got one lens at $797 for $297. I mean, so that's 60, 70, 80% off. Yeah, that one. It's a great lens. These are great lenses. Now, you're not going to get that deal unless you buy a Panasonic and include the lenses in it now. I think the window's still open. But then again, you want to invest $3,000 basically is what you want. So, but that said, there are other cameras you can use. There are lesser expensive cameras, but on the whole, we're probably talking about an additional $1,500 all in all, I would say, for everything else. The mics are $250, $300. They're a little on the high end for these kind of mics, but they're really, you can see the sound quality. The accessory is a bit pricey. I think it's $500, but you can always find used ones on eBay. They're there, and you can get a couple of $100 off on that one. I mean, if you look around, you can reduce the cost. All in all, it's a $4,000 to $5,000 investment for what we're each doing, and that's what it's going to be. But at the same time, it's at this point, I think we're fairly close to being optimal on our road gear, right? So, might want to consider all of that, consider parts of that. If you're interested in let's say less than that, you want to do a lower end thing, you want to just do stuff with your iPhone, reach out to us and we can make a bunch of suggestions on what to do with that. Because there are cages for your iPhone, there are lenses for your iPhone that will improve the quality a great deal. There are mics that plug directly into your iPhone. They're actually good quality. They're not the level we're talking about, but they're close. Well, they're not even, well, let's say reasonably close. But, a lot of it's just decisions you have to make. But on the whole, we're here to help anyway. So if you have any ideas of what you may be interested in, reach out to us and we can help you with it.
Yeah, one last one that I love, and Paul turned me on to it, is this little guy right here. This little tabletop tripod is a lifesaver. You can use, if you got a table, and these cameras, as you can see in that picture I showed you, you can have these cameras really close to you and still be able to fit a couple of people in a shot. So if you have a table, you can put a camera on this little guy right here. And how easy is this to carry around? Look how this.
Look at that. It's amazing. And it has a little carrying case too.
Yeah.
Like a little cloth bag.
What I think the rule to live by is the more compact, chances are it's going to be a little bit more expensive, but it saves on the wear and tear in your back. I mean,
yeah,
I'm telling you right now. And it'll also save if you. I've never personally had a bag that weighed so much that they had to charge me additional, because I'm trying to get stuff that won't. So even if you spend money on the right gear up front, it might cost you a little extra, but it'll save you over time because you can travel with this stuff and not have to get charged for the excessive bag weight thing.
Plus doctor bills later.
Yeah. Yeah. You won't have to see a chiropractor as much. And believe me, when we were in Vegas, we were lugging stuff around for about 3 days. It catches up to you.
Yeah. Even with all the portability, it's still going to catch up to you. So take all this into account. I know there was a lot of stuff we kind of threw at everybody, but at the same time, honestly, this is our third gear show, I think.
I think so.
Right, third gear show. We'll be more regular coming up, but you'll also see some upgraded. You'll see some upgraded capabilities, and part of the upgrading itself is we'll explain how we did it and what we used as we're doing this throughout the time. So stay tuned on this one, because ultimately, look, we're talking to the audiences who listen to us and who, both of you, right? So we'll see how you take it, and anything we can do to help, please reach out.
Yeah, get yourself. I'm calling this my go bag, because you can put all your mobile stuff, just sit in that bag, and when you're ready to go, just grab it. You don't have to do anything. I think I got it. Come on, I'm here. There we go. You don't have to do anything special. You don't have to just have your go bag ready and keep it all packed up.
Yeah.
It just saves so much time and effort. You don't have to worry about, did I get everything? Do I have everything? Just keep it all in your go bag.
It's one of the best things you can do. If you're interested, you can go on YouTube and look up camera carrying, camera backpacks, camera bags, etc. And you'll see there's a lot of variety. I mean, one highly, highly recommended one that we don't use because we don't really need to is from a guy, Peter McKinnon, who makes them. But they're like $600, $700 just for the bag.
Yeah.
But that said, if this is something that you're going in business doing in some way, those bags are worth every penny, and people love them. But as Brent said, his was what, $100?
Somewhere around there.
Yeah, give or take 40.
Yeah, that's what I need. I mean, I'm not carrying. I don't foresee carrying more than 2 cameras at a time.
Right.
Some of those guys are carrying a lot.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm just saying there's a wide range. Again, sadly, and it's pricey. Stay away from one. It's just too difficult. Again, it's not a bad bag.
Yeah, the zippers were hard to work with.
That was the problem. And if you watch the videos, that part doesn't come across. right?
Yeah.
So, but the from two people who are learning as we go and getting pretty decent at all this. We learned the hard way. Those zippers are friggin' impossible, right? So don't bother with it.
All right. On that note, I think we're done until next Thursday because it'll be like the first time we're doing the regular players in a couple of weeks.
Interesting topic coming up too. We have the world of pricing, right? Mark Stiving, who's actually a significant influencer and analyst in the pricing world, is going to be a first-time guest on the show.
I thought you were going to have Bob Barker when you said pricing.
Yeah, the pricing is writing, right? So we're going to actually talk about something we've never really talked about before, which might not sound interesting, but it actually is really interesting, especially when we had the opportunity, of course, to be at Pros Conference. You realize that when you talk about what's called dynamic pricing and things like that, you're actually in a world that's really, really complicated, and at the same time has huge consequences for how successful or not a company is. And Mark can speak to us from being on that and other things related to it, from being a thought leader.
All right. So in the meantime, I'm Brent Leary.
I'm Paul Greenberg.
We are the CRM Players. And since it's not officially a regular CRM Players show, we're going to give Minnie the weekend off. So,
and next time we will come back with our intros and outros.
And by the way,
again,
shout out to Minnie's mother. Anne had a birthday this weekend. So
yeah, 2 days ago, right? 21st, I think.
All
Happy
righty.
birthday, Ann Chen.
Absolutely. And we will see you next week.